were you at all concerned about taking on this role?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. It's not lost on me how important this is to millions of people. I mean, this is a well-known franchise around the world, and there's a certain amount of pressure that comes along with that, to please each one of those fans, make something that's authentic, that they're satisfied with. And what's scary about that is how little I have to do with that. I mean, I know even playing the titular character, I mean, it's still so many decisions, creative decisions that weigh on this are out of my hands. So yeah, I mean, there's always a little bit of apprehension, but at the same time, I want to be a part of projects that are beloved by fans around the world, and it's next to impossible these days to attract any attention because there's such a glut of opportunity for people to watch. I mean, across all the platforms, both cable, streaming, and I mean, there's just how do you make enough noise to be seen? I mean, with a project that's as cool as this one that so many people are aware of, it helps. So I think that definitely outweighs any of the insecurities or fears, apprehensions. But so none of that is lost on me. But my job as an actor is to focus solely on the author's intent, and to breathe as much life into that as possible, and to block out all the other noise. So it was, it took a concerted effort every day as I woke up to, pinch myself. I can't believe I'm a part of this. And also it's terrifying that I'm a part of this, and just focus on the work at hand. But, I think at the end of the day, I think I was able to get there.
Absolutely. How familiar were you with Reacher, either the films or the books, prior to this?
Before they approached me to come in, and begin the audition process, I hadn't read the books or watched the movies. Unfortunately, I mean, it missed me. When I read, I almost never read fiction. I read self-help books or philosophy, history, the history of the world. I'll read collegiate textbooks, just for fun.
The lightweight stuff.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, I'll read scientific, scientific studies. I'll go straight to the source and all. I've always been sort of experiential in my learning. I quit college, to pursue this industry, and it seemed like a foolish thing at the time, but I've just always learned best on my own. And when I pursue my own curiosity, it just works for me. So anyway, all that to say, no, I don't find a lot of fiction, and I enjoy them. I just don't sit down with them very often. And I'm sad about that, because I missed 25 years of Reacher. I could have been enjoying it annually. And at the end of the day, I read all 24 books at the time. There were 24, all 24 books in 8 months. So before we ever shot a frame of this, I'd read them all, and had read Killing Floor twice. So I was ready to go once we got into it, and I understood the passion that the fans have for this character implicitly. So at the end of the day, I'm better late than never. I'm a Reacher fan, super fan, and I'm glad that it found me, because it's been an amazing journey to be a part of.
In your opinion, do you think when a movie or a television series is created out of source material that comes from a novel or something, do you think it's more important to stay true to the source material, or to take those liberties and make it your own, in a sense, or the crew making it their own?
No, of course, yeah. I mean, I think honor the author. I mean, if it's a good enough book that we're wanting to adapt it to screen, clearly it's keyed in on something that's in the zeitgeist that the audiences are responding to. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I think oftentimes when those kind of alterations are made, it's it's either with some kind of unmoored creativity, or some kind of pride that somebody else wants to insert their dominant fingerprint into the pie. And fortunately for us, we have an egoless a legendary showrunner, writer in Nick Santora. He's got incredible projects under his belt. I mean, Prison Break is one that he, you know, he understands this genre, and we've benefited from his gifts. So it's incredible to find somebody as talented as him with the resume that he has, who is also able to, you know, approach this in a way where he just wants to give the fans what they've enjoyed, you know, in the best way possible. The alterations that were made for, you know, to adapt this to screen were solely made in a very careful, calculated way, just to help people who have never read the books understand a little of the backstory that if you're a reader, you get peppered in to the saga over the course of 24 books. And just a couple of those things we need to know earlier on. And it was done in such a seamless way that even having read the book Killing Floor twice, I had to be reminded in a conversation recently with Santora about what was in the book and what wasn't, because they're like, oh, that wasn't in the book. And I'm like, that wasn't? It, of course, but no, it was, you know. It was done so carefully that and with such care and reverence to the audience that it's hard to, you know, to distinguish where those seams are. And I think that's the right way to do it. It's appropriate when it's done out of respect for the audience.
Absolutely. I got to talk about Willa. I mean, Roscoe is an amazing character, and she just nails it. Tell me a little bit about working with her, because the two of you have a really good chemistry.
She's incredible, and that chemistry, man, those sparks were flying within about 3 frames of shooting the first day. It took no time at all to build an incredible on-camera relationship with her. That's a testament to her. I mean, she is an absolute powerhouse, and when you've got a character that looms so large over a project like Reacher, you know, I think anybody else, you know, would just, even on a subconscious level, sort of back away a little bit. And man, she put me on my heels on more than one occasion. And if you're ever lucky enough to be in a scene with her and feel her powerful, fiery eyes bore a hole into your soul, it's an incredible, exhilarating feeling, and I'm the beneficiary of that. It was a real joy to work with her, and I was same with Malcolm Goodwin, who plays Oscar Finley. You know, these Killing Floor, for those that don't know, it's there's sort of this triangle of individuals, Roscoe, Finley, and Reacher, who are adversaries but also need each other in some ways, and so it becomes this really there's this really interesting dynamic of push and pull between all of them, and watching those relationships develop over the course of the season is fascinating, and it's a lot of fun. But you know, really, we're only as good as those characters are. I mean, Reacher's Reacher, he's rather stoic, you know, he's the star, and they are the very interesting planets that are doing all the heavy lifting orbiting him, you know. So we are only as good as the talent that's around Reacher, and they are as good as it gets.
Yeah, I have to say part of this is the cast is phenomenal, but I will tell you, I binge watched 4 of the episodes last night, and I can't wait to finish it tonight.
Lucky you.
No, it's so good. Fans are gonna love it. Even if you're not a fan, you're gonna love it. So thank you so much for your time today. The 4th, we're waiting for it.
Can't come soon enough. Yeah, thank you very much. Nice to see you.
You're welcome. Nice to see you.